How many of you have ever uttered, "I'll have a triple grande non-fat caramel macchiato," or "I'll have a cup of coffee with cream"? If you haven't said these words, you're sure to know someone who has. But do you know the history behind your cup of coffee? More than just a bean, coffee has been an intricate part of society for over 2,000 years. Since coffee is such an important fixture in society, as well as one of the most important economic commodities of the world, I thought I would share my love of coffee with you, as well as some of its history. We have goats to thank for discovering coffee. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, goats discovered coffee. According to one myth, that is, they did. In this tale, a goat herder named Chaldee, in the year of around 850, noticed the erratic behavior of his flock after they had nibbled on some berries from a bush. He decided to try some of these berries for himself, and noticed that the snack produced a delightful sense of exhilaration. And Chaldee went on to proclaim his find loudly. His find is now one of the most popular drinks in the world. It is consumed regularly by 1/3 of the world's population, and by the 1900s, world exports of coffee totaled 1 million tons. By the 1950s, that figure had doubled, and today several million tons of coffee are exported worldwide, making coffee the second largest item of international commerce after petroleum. So what is coffee and where does it come from? The average coffee shrub grows to a height of about 30 feet and produces white flowers with a red fleshy fruit. Each fruit contains pulp and 2 seeds. It is the seeds, not beans, where we get coffee from. For us Westerners, coffee is very young, only about 300 years old. But in the East, the first definitive dates go back to 800 BC. Coffee's earliest use was as food. Early African nomads would crush it with fat and use it as a day's ration. Later, wine was made from the fermented husks and pulp. Coffee was known in 15th century Arabia, and from there it spread to Egypt and Turkey, overcoming religious and political opposition to become popular among the Arabs. We have Venetian traders to thank for coffee in the West. They were probably the first to bring coffee to Europe. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the beverage reached one European country after another. And coffee was banned for a while because of religious, political, and medicinal objections. For example, the Italian clergy at first opposed the drink as the beverage of the infidel. But after Pope Clement VII tried the brew, he declared it fit for Christians and infidels alike. Coffee became widely popular in London, and the first coffee house opened its doors in 1652. These establishments had markedly different characters than taverns that sold alcoholic drinks, and coffee houses became centers of commercial, political, and intellectual exchange. Coffee was thought to promote clarity of thought, making it the ideal drink for scientists, businessmen, and philosophers. Coffee house discussions are given credit for leading to the establishment of scientific societies, the founding of newspapers, the establishment of financial institutions, and they provided fertile ground for revolutionary thought, particularly in France. What was once thought of as a berry for goats has grown into the second largest commodity in the world, trailing only to petroleum. Americans presently put away a large chunk of the brew, more than the entire world drank just half a century ago. Coffee is, to say the least, an institution in this country, with the average American gulping down 2.5 cups of coffee daily. You won't have to look far to find someone who insists they just couldn't live without it. And speaking of institutions, in many states the coffee break is a fixture in almost all offices and factories. It's dictated by law. It started as a berry, evolved to a bean, then brewed to become the most consumed beverage in the world. No matter if you order a coffee regular, a cup of joe, a cappuccino, an espresso, or a triple grande non-fat caramel macchiato, if you are ordering coffee, you are a part of the $15 billion market and a part of history.